and I'll tell you guys how I came down to figuring out that it was an exhaust leak. We see this every now and then, okay? It's not a common occurrence, but we do see it once in a while. This sounds ridiculous! What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode on Proven Power Cycles. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric, and I am the tuner here at Proven Power Cycles. Today, we have the little GSX-R600 that could. We are doing a valve adjustment, a mid-pipe install, and a slip-on, and a flash and tune. What we're gonna do right now, we're just gonna do a baseline real quick. We're gonna warm it up, basically do like 1 or 2 passes and then shut it off. So once the bikes are kind of at a mileage where they need a valve adjustment, I don't like beating on them, but I do like showing the differences between the before and after. So this bike currently has, we are currently sitting at 41,250 miles. This is female owned and she loves it. This is her baby. It's pretty clean, honestly, for considering that it's, you know, got the mileage that it has. And now remember, it's a 2020. So she rides this thing. She rides the snot out of it. So let's see, let's confirm it. But it's a nice color. I like the all white. Love the all white, actually, the white and black. It does look good. I'm a fan. I think it's pretty sharp. Let's see, yeah, late model 19. So it is, it's a 2020. It's basically completely stock system. Now, obviously, she said she did have a slip-on. The slip-on blew off or it fell off or some jazz. And it does have the stock cap, which is not, you know, no biggie, whatever. Again, we just want to get some baseline numbers. So that way, when we finish everything, we can overlay it. As you guys know who follow this channel, you guys know we are very thorough. We're very in-depth. So we like to do the baseline, install all the parts, do all the work, do another baseline, and then do all the tuning. So that's what we like to do. That way we're showing you everything from start to finish. We don't hide anything. We're showing you everything that we see, and we're showing you everything that we're doing. So obviously, without taking you through the full process, that would be very long videos. But we got it all set up on the dyno now. We checked the oil, we've already checked the tires, we've already checked the chain and sprockets. So when we get the bike back on the dyno, whenever everything is done, and we are later part of the week currently, so realistically, we'll have this all wrapped up in the beginning of the following week. When that time comes, we're gonna clean the chain and sprockets like we always do. We're gonna wipe down the wheels, and I even told her, well, most likely, we will. We're gonna spray down the bike, wipe it all down. We have a detailer. So we just got done running the GSX-R600 and well, let's look at the baseline. So this was the best run that we got out of it, and we are at 102 wheel horsepower with 42 foot-pounds of torque. And if you look here, we are very, very lean. We're actually off the chart down low here. Let me move that a little. Yeah, we're off the chart. It's not even reading right here. We have a very, very lean mixture at this low end going into mid-range. So if you see here, right around 9K or so, yeah, 9,000, we're actually right in the sweet spot. And then it dives off again around the 11,000 range, and then it starts just to go pretty damn rich. And then as we go up to the higher RPMs, we're extremely rich at 12.0 flat. You know, it kind of makes sense. And if you look here, we kind of have a little dead spot, and then it lifts up. You know, this is the dead spot that you'll feel whenever you're on the bikes. A lot of times we'll have that complaint, like it's kind of hesitant or it's sluggish at the low going into mid-range RPM. Well, that's all why. It's just too lean, way too lean. So these are very good numbers all in all, honestly, considering it's got so many miles on it. I was not expecting to see even 100 horsepower. So considering we just nailed out 102, pretty damn good, honestly. So the next steps are gonna be the valve adjustment, pulling the headers off. We're gonna we have to cut the head pipes on these. So whenever you install a mid-pipe on these, on the 600 and the 750 class, here is the catalytic converter right there, that big old box, huge box. And then if you notice, it's welded all the way through, okay? It's all welded. There's no flange. So whenever you get the mid pipe, what you do is you make a cut. You have to cut along these welds. Actually, it's back here. But you have to make a cut back here. What you have to do is you have to cut out that box. That box is the catalytic converter. It's massive on these bikes, so we cut that out. We install the mid pipe. There's a little bit of grinding involved too. We got to cut it, grind it, reinstall the head pipes with the new mid pipe, and then we have a slip-on. So once we install all of that jazz, then and along with the valve adjustment, then we'll put it back on the dyno, check it all back out, see what happens, see how it does, and go from there. All right, guys, so we have the 2020 GSX-R600 all torn down. So Lewis now, the next thing he's gonna start doing, and I see that he got kind of his little sheet started here, but the next thing he's gonna do is start taking all these measurements, and once he takes all these measurements, we're gonna see where we're at versus where we need to be. And the other thing that he got started on as well, now, we are working on the floor on this one. I don't like working on the floor, but we have some other bikes. We got a turbo GSX-R over here that's undergoing some stuff, and then we got my bike over here, the 10R, and that one's undergoing some work too. So both of them are kind of held up for right now. But regardless, we'll get it knocked out. The next thing he's doing to here, he's going to pull this. We're gonna cut and install this mid pipe. We gotta cut, grind it, and get the mid pipe on, and we'll get the M4 slip-on on. We're gonna remove the stock O2 sensor while we're in here, and the other thing is we're gonna remove the exhaust servo as well while we're in here. So should be good to go here very, very soon on this bike, and we should be able to make some big progress here. The goal is to have all of this wrapped up in the next, basically in the next day. Now, we don't remember exactly what was told to us. We don't know if she said that she had never had a valve adjustment or if she had a valve adjustment at the 20-something thousand mile mark. I cannot remember, honestly. But guys, we see this every now and then, okay? It's not a common occurrence, but we do see it once in a while. We checked her valves. Now, it may be a little bit confusing, so I'll just kind of show you guys a little bit. But these are all in thousandths. This is the way Lewis writes out his valve adjustment. Okay, we all kind of have our own style that we do it, but these were all 5 thou, 4 thou, 5 thou, 4 thou. His clearance should be 3 thou through 7 thou, so we are perfect in that range. And in here, we need to be between 7 and 11 thousandths, and we are 8. Some of these were, yeah, like you could see 7. So you see how Lewis did 7 and 8. It's kind of like a split between the two. So more or less 7 goes in there pretty easily. 8, it's a really, really tight 8. So probably somewhere around 7.5 range on these, and then 8 on those. So we're pretty good. This thing's actually within spec. So very surprising considering she's at the 40. I think it's like 42,000 miles, something like that. Yeah, she's got a ton of miles. But again, I cannot remember. We deal with a lot of customers and we deal with a lot of people, but I don't remember if she said she ended up getting one at 20 or not. I want to say she has not gotten the valve adjustment yet. If memory serves, I want to say she hasn't done it, and she's like, look, I know I'm high on the mileage. I know I need to check them. So, but again, they're really not that bad. So sounds more like she's daily driving this more than anything else. And maybe she is just kind of basically cruising to and from work and whatnot. I can guarantee you this bike does not live at high RPM. If it lived at a higher RPM, we would definitely see a lot of issues, a lot of tight valves, more or less tight valves. Sometimes we'll see 1 or 2 on the loose side, but 90% of the time, 95% of the time, the valves are tight, at least on the exhaust side, and then some we usually see on the intake side. So, but the motor's healthy, looks great, and like we said on the dyno, earlier on the dyno run when we baselined it, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but I remember saying, this did a lot better than I was expecting. Usually when we see the valves that are out of whack, the bike is not, it doesn't produce that kind of top tier number, at least for my dyno. We normally see a power loss, if you will. We normally see a little bit like 2, 3, 4 horsepower. So, you know, we usually see a little bit of a loss in power. So after the adjustment plus all the tuning, we usually see that power pick right back up. So usually, not all the time, but usually. So we're gonna throw that back together. Well, Lewis, he's gonna throw it all back together here, and we got the more or less we got the exhaust set up. We still got to bolt it all down and whatnot, and get it kind of situated, and then after that we'll throw this thing on the dyno. We got the GSX-R600 all put back together, and it is on the dyno. So we got the mid pipe done. let's see here. I'm gonna wipe it down before we do any runs on the dyno, but we got the mid pipe installed, and then we have the slip-on on. Sorry, we put everything up because we're actually shutting down for the day. So now, admittedly, this does stick out a little further than what we were expecting. We're actually gonna get the heat shield here, and we're gonna get it and throw it on there for her. And that way it'll help kind of blend the bike. It'll kind of help flow, if you will. It'll help with the exhaust flow. So the way it looks, at least aesthetically on the bike. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna kick this on, we're gonna let it warm up and start doing some new baseline numbers with the new mid-pipe and slip-on system. We are wrapping up the GSX-R600 here. I just wanted to show, I forgot to do some before, but with every one of our ECU flash and dyno tunes, if you have a chain driven rear wheel here, if it's chain drive, because some of the Harleys are belt driven, but the chain driven stuff, we always service. We'll clean the wheel, we clean the chain, and we adjust it, clean the chain and sprocket, and we adjust it if necessary. But this one's got nice tension on it. She's right in range, so everything looks good as far as the adjusting goes. We just cleaned this all up. I forgot to get the before, but it was pretty dirty. Definitely had some miles on it, but man, for 40 some odd thousand miles, this thing cleaned up really, really well. So we got that GSX-R all finished up and it came out really good. Very, very happy. Luckily we got everything situated and sounds great. The owner is very happy with the bike. She's thrilled with it. And I just wanted to go over the numbers with you guys really quickly and kind of show you how it all went down and where we're at. So let's go through it. First, we started with the stock baseline, and then as you guys know, we did the wide pipe with the M4. And so, to be honest with you, we didn't see any kind of crazy changes, except for, I wanted to show you guys this. Now, the M4 baseline is gonna be in blue, all right? So the M4 is in blue, which we lost a little bit throughout here. We picked it all up at the top end, but we also lost it down low. But I wanted to show you guys, we went very, 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 very lean throughout that low end going into mid-range. This is typically what we see no matter what with the full exhaust or the wide pipes or anything like that. Whenever you're taking out the restrictions, we start to see a very lean mixture, a lean air fuel mixture at that lower RPM. And then things usually kind of settle out at top end, still running a little rich up top. So we still have a little rich AFRs up top, very similar. Now, the M4 is definitely gonna breathe a little bit more, so we did pick up a couple of horsepower up top here, but nothing crazy, nothing to brag to mom about, right? After we performed all the work and got it all dialed in, this thing actually laid out really good numbers. We ended it with 112 wheel horsepower and 45 pound-foot of torque here. And I wanted to show you guys up top, primarily, we picked up about 10 wheel horsepower all in all, from the tune, getting everything dialed in and all the other work performed. Now, we do have a slight lean mixture right here. Now, these are things that we typically touch up before they leave. We usually add a little bit. Now, and we also, with this Y-pipe install, we did still notice, because of the fitment, there's really not a lot of room to play. So you get a little bit of wiggle room. We did try to seal the system as best as possible, but we still got a little bit of air leaking into there. And because the fitment is kind of, it's a tight spot to get everything to seal up with these mid pipes, if you will, with the cat eliminator pipes or whatever you want to call them. With those pipes installed, you do get a little bit of air that seeps into them because they don't get a good sealed fitment. They are pretty limited as far as the quality and who you can actually go to for these mid pipes, right? at least with the style of mid-pipe, or with the style of exhaust that she wanted. She wanted that M4 MotoGP. I believe it's called the GP. It's not the GP19. The GP19 is their newer model, where it has more of an artistic kind of look to the muffler. This one I think is just called the M4 GP, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, if you want to install that slip-on, there's only like a couple of mid-pipes out there that they make. They are cheaper mid-pipes. They're not, you know, they're not super expensive, but with that, the quality's a little on the lower side, you know, but again, it's kind of like those are the options. So we get a little bit of an exhaust leak in there, okay? You're gonna get little fluctuations in your air fuel. It's gonna happen. If this were completely true and dialed in, we'd actually be we'd be running on the richer side unless we installed a wideband bung before that exhaust leak. Regardless, we still had it flatlining up here. It's more than likely it's going to be running a little bit richer than this mixture that you see up here. But again, if you're going to be spending that time up high, I want to make sure that's nice and safe. I gotta say, these numbers are very impressive for a GSX-R600. Normally we end around the 110, 111 max. So considering this thing laid out almost 113, you know, 112 and a half, it's pretty good for my dyno, okay? My dyno, I'm very happy with that for my dyno. So not bad all in all. We had great gains throughout. This would not have been possible unless we got rid of that cat. And again, this is gonna be for off-road use only. This is racing purposes only. We try to make do with what we got or with what they're working with. But again, you're gonna kind of get some fluctuations in there. So if you guys are tuning, or even if you're getting your bike tuned, if you have exhaust leaks even in general, make sure that you guys get those resolved before hitting the dyno. And if they can't really be resolved in a situation kind of like what we're facing here, you know, the only other thing really would have been to pull out the exhaust system, weld it shut, but it would have been like almost a solid one piece throughout. And truthfully, you know, with that being said, it's a little difficult because A, we're dealing with a budget on some of these people's builds. There's only so much that we can really do to fit within the budget, so there are gonna be some things that you have to sacrifice. And I hate saying that, but it's true. Some of these jobs, they do have a budget, and it's like, well, how do we make it work within your budget while still retaining good results? Now, I know a lot of you sticklers out there, a lot of you judgmental ones, you know, you guys are gonna say, well, that air fuel, it sucks, I'm better, my cousin can do better, whatever, I don't really care. Truthfully, this is like the nature of the business. So these are the things that happen, is you kind of have to work through some of those items when dealing with some of these things. So I'm just glad that we were able to tune the bike and it's riding great. And truthfully, the testimonial when she came back, or when we got back in touch with her, she was thrilled, she was happy, she had no complaints. And if she were to have complaints, then we take care of it. I tell everybody that. Whenever anybody leaves the shop, I tell them the same line. If you have any issues, questions, concerns, reach out to us, let us know, we'll take care of it, you know? As long as it's within an appropriate time frame. You know, if you wait 6 months to tell us about an issue, more than likely we're gonna kind of dismiss it, you know, or say, hey, look, it's been a little too long. But you contact us within the first, you know, few weeks, you know, 2-3 weeks, we'll definitely help you out. We'll definitely take care of you, and we'll work with you on it, and we'll get it in and make it right. No matter what, we'll make it right. But again, usually I'll kind of own up to it, and I'll do it under basically like a warranty process, if you will. I'm not going to charge anything extra. We just take care of it. So provided it's not a mechanical failure, it's an actual tuning issue. So in this case, things like this, I know that we have exhaust leaks. Like, I know there's going to be some situations around it where it's like, hey, look, this is kind of, it is what it is. We're trying to work through it the best way we can. But just wanted to let you know, here's what we're dealing with. And I'll tell you guys how I came down to figuring out that it was an exhaust leak. I'll show you real quick. So we have 3 different runs here. All of these were performed at different times throughout the tune, okay? Now look at every single one of these. They go lean in the same area and then come back down and they richen up, all right? This is the clear indication that I'm adding fuel each time, and you can see where the final run is in green. All right, this was the final pull was in green. You can see where the fuel's being added, and then it kind of does this little lean out spot right here every single time. And let me tell you something, I've been tuning for a while now. It's pretty obvious where I need to add fuel. Added a bunch of fuel in this area, and yet we're seeing the same results. It usually tells me that when we see this, we're seeing a fluctuation in and notice that the power range too. So we'll do another thing. I'll just, again, try to teach you guys a little something here. Now I know this is not a major difference, but you notice how we're at a 56, then we go to 57, and we have a 57 here. So with this being said, we basically have similar horsepower no matter what. Now on this blue line, we added a bunch of extra fuel. So you notice how we went from a 13.9 to a 14.2 to a 14.3. Now look what happened here relative to that. We went from a 56 horsepower to a 57.2 to a 57.59. Notice how we kept creeping up. But how is that? We kept leaning it out. Well, that's how I knew we're dealing with an exhaust leak and we're not getting a true AFR reading in this area. And honestly, it could have been just airflow. It could have been the way the engine is producing. So you have these cycles. So as the engine is basically pumping, the engine is an air pump. So as you have two cylinders going up, you have two going down. Two go up, two go down. So you get these kind of boom, 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 right? But it's happening very fast. That's how you get the whoa kind of sound, because it's just happening very, very fast, the way it's coming out, right? But scientifically, you have, it's called pulse width. So you have these pulses that are happening. So if that sample rate is off compared to your pulse width modulation, then what you end up, or not modulation, but just pulse width, then what you end up getting is these, again, lean air fuels, because you're taking the sample and you're having air mixing in with the exhaust. And again, the sample rate, depending on where it's getting sampled at, you don't have enough exhaust flow, you're not gonna get an accurate reading. So that's the things that you kind of have to fight through as a tuner. And again, for those of you who are tuning, if you have an exhaust leak, highly, highly, highly recommend you guys get them resolved before you hit the dyno. But again, dealing with what we're dealing with this customer, it is what it is. They're happy, they had no complaints. If they had issues, the bike would have been still laggy down low. They would have had a really laggy pool. But that's why I always like to tell them, hey, if you have any problems, just let me know and I'll take care of it. Because again, seeing situations like this on paper, it should be leaning out, therefore it should be having issues with the acceleration, and they should have a lag to it. If they have no lag and it's pulling really well down low and they say it feels great, well then all in all, the actual true AFR that's happening inside the combustion process is most likely going to be pretty close, and we're good. So that's why I want to look into that. And again, it comes with the experience of tuning too. I look at the mapping and I see how the mapping looks, and if the mapping looks kind of close what I typically see, then I again kind of go with that and I roll with it. So anyway guys, I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this video. We don't really do a lot of 600s, at least a lot of GSX-R 600s. We don't really showcase a lot of those. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below, tell us what you think. Even you critics out there, tell us what you think down below. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, like it, so we can show you more videos like this in the future. Those of you guys who really follow our channel, you know we got some really cool stuff coming out here soon. And yeah, I guess that's really it, guys. So hit us up, let us know if you need any work done, and see you on another episode. Say bye, Daryl.
You showed your face too much.
Yeah, you showed your face. Bye, Lewis.